Welcome back to Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner. My next guest is an entrepreneur and mother of 8 who has turned childcare into a multi-million-dollar business. Victoria Sopik is the co-founder and CEO of Kids & Company, a Canadian organization working with corporations to develop childcare options. It's also one of Canada's fastest growing companies, according to Profit Magazine. Well, Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, with 8 kids, how did you find the time to get here?
You know what? My children, luckily for me, are fairly grown up. I actually have a grandson. So my oldest child is 28, and his wife, he was married a couple of years ago, and they have a new baby who's 7 months old. So easier as they grow, for sure.
And of course, having 8 kids and having a business must keep you hopping.
I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. So I started a business before I had my son, and I vowed when I was about 16 that I was never going to have a boss. So luckily, more than 30 years later, I've managed to keep that true, and I've always worked for myself.
So for you, work-life balance is obviously very important. I mean, this is one of the reasons you started your organization. Why is it that important for people to focus on or to have more balance in their lives?
You know what, I think, well, for me, most important thing for me was to be able to be in charge of my life. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, they think, well, I'll have a business and, then I won't have someone, I won't be 9 to 5, I can work when I want to work. The other flip side of that, of course, is that then they're on call all the time. And so for some people, they like the 9 to 5, they leave at 5, work is over, they don't have to think about it. For entrepreneurs, they're happy to have the juggle. I tell stories about, my third child, who's now 25. When she was born, I was minutes after her delivery, I was writing paychecks. And the nurses were saying to me, why are you? And I had the biggest, 25 years ago, great big tables with all the payrolls in it and figuring out this is how much CPP. And I said, my employees don't care that I just had a baby. They need to get paid. They have to pay their mortgage, they have to pay their rent. And so that, that's the downside. It doesn't go away. You don't go on mat leave. I had 8 children and not 1 minute of mat leave. I was working immediately after. The pro, of course, is that I was able to be there, for the speech competitions or the track meets or the hockey games. So I was able to plan my life and juggle it around my children, which was most important to me. So I think it's all about individual choices and what works for you.
So tell us about Kids & Company.
So Kids & Company was really created, it's about 12 years old, to meet that demand. What we discovered, and I have a business partner and a co-founder whose name is Jennifer, and what Jennifer and I discovered was that, through some research, was that, one of the changing trends that was happening was more likely for mom to go to work. So when I started having my children 28 years ago, lots of my friends, the mom stayed home for a number of years and dad was supporting the family, but it's so expensive in the economy today to have one person supporting a family. Moms needed to work, but the other trend that was very interesting was that moms and dads both wanted a flexible work-life balance. They wanted to be able to juggle, share some childcare, not necessarily work 5 days a week. So the real impetus behind Kids & Company was twofold. One is to offer flexible childcare. So we have childcare that can be available for parents 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 1 day a week. We have backup childcare, which is just if your regular childcare, which could be, mom or dad or grandma or a nanny or next door neighbor falls apart, you can come to childcare that day. So it was really created to meet the needs of working Canadian parents as well as American, because we're opening in the U.S. But the other piece of it, which was interesting, was that we offer corporate childcare. And what corporate childcare means is that our childcare that we offer is offered to company as a benefit for their employees by their employer. And what that means is that by virtue of working for a company, you have access and a guaranteed space in our childcare center. So what was happening in the past is many moms were, waiting till they were a little bit older than used to be before to have their first child. And, then they'd be in their 30s, they'd be well on their way into their career, and they'd have this lovely baby, and they'd have to go back to work at some point, and they wouldn't have childcare. And so the message they were sending to their employers, I really want to come back to work, but I can't find childcare. I'm on a waiting list throughout the city. And so what we created was this employer-sponsored childcare, whereby we provide guaranteed space. And so the message the employer gives to their employees is, you know what, go to Kids & Company, you can have a guaranteed space at any of their centers. We're coast to coast, so around the Toronto area we have probably 20 or 25, ranging from Ajax all the way to Hamilton, Mississauga, downtown, uptown, Aurora, and so anywhere people live or work, we will have childcare for them.
And work-life balance is, of course, very important for productivity.
Exactly.
Employers are beginning to really understand that.
Well, and work-life balance can sometimes mean peace of mind for work.
Right.
And so sometimes it can mean just sort of knowing that we don't charge late fees at Kids & Company. So knowing that I can stay at work an extra 10 minutes and get my work done and have it finished, and I don't have to turn my computer back on at 10 at night. So many childcares, they charge a late fee. So when you're coming to pick up your child, if you're not there at 6, you have to pay $1 a minute or $10 for 5 minutes. And so from an employee perspective, right in the middle of getting this document out, you gotta leave, you have to go get your child, and then from a work-life balance perspective, it's hanging over your head. I've got to get that done tonight. I've got to get that done. As soon as my child goes to bed, I've got to get back on my computer. So sometimes that extra 5 or 10 minutes at the office, they get it done, tiny bit late on the pickup, and then they're home and able to enjoy their family.
So with this organization and helping others with their childcare, has this in any way changed the way you parent and see being a parent?
You know what, it's a great question. It's interesting. Parenting certainly has changed a lot. I mean, as I said, my son's 28, and so it's been, you know, sort of reflective for me to look at the way the young families parent today. And, you know, there's lots of great things. So there's lots of, you know, I think, you know, 20 years ago, we weren't as sort of maybe safety or security conscious in terms of some of the things that children were doing. Were they playing around the corner, down the street? We weren't watching them as well. And so parents today are very concerned about safety, which I think is a great thing. They also, you know, are prone to do what I call helicopter parenting, or many people do, which is, you know, helicoptering and solve a lot of problems or issues for their children. And that's something, as you can imagine, for a mother of 8, I had to let my children solve a lot of problems on their own. And whether it be little fights that they would have with each other or issues with the teacher at school, where I'd send, okay, go in and tell the teacher, you know, la, 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 la. I think that empowered them and gave them some good self-esteem and some good self-confidence. So, you know, we try at Kids and Company to have lots of opportunities for parents to hear from experts. You know, so we'll have parenting experts come in and speak to them and coach them, or we give them access to them to sort of help support their parenting so that you know, all those things can happen in the way they should.
So for any mompreneurs out there,
yes.
What sort of advice would you have for them, women who are mothers and either starting a business or they're in the throes of a new business? I mean, what kind of advice would you give them?
So, you know, as you can imagine, I'm a person that sort of does what I want to do. And so lots of my advice is hinged with, you know, just do it and don't look back and don't think too much, because lots of times we're thinking so much that the thinking process gets us in the way of doing. And people say, I've thought so much about this business, I've kind of talked myself out of it. So lots of my advice for women entrepreneurs or mompreneurs is just try it, go for it, test the water, see how it works. But the other problem I think that's really, really a good piece of advice, if women can do it, if moms can do it, is try not to feel guilty. Because sometimes the guilt of not being there for a specific thing for their children that they feel that they should, whether it's a soccer game or a football game, or feeling that they're missing milestones, or feeling that they want to be that stay-at-home mom, but the same breath someone's calling them to be in business or to work, can really kind of weigh you down and get you in, you know, in the sinking sand where really you should just be going forward. So try to push those guilty feelings out of your mind and just do what you think is the right thing to do.
Now, how do you handle the stress? I mean, along with entrepreneurship and, you know,
yes.
a bunch of kids as well,
yeah.
comes stress. How do you handle it?
Yeah, I think everyone has a different way of handling stress. Mm-hmm. And I'm lucky that I'm a good decision maker. And I think often people have stress because they don't know what to do or how to solve a problem or how to solve an issue. And I think, you know, luckily some people like myself are good at sort of, okay, here's a solution, here's what we can do, here's the next step. And once you have a plan and you're working towards something, usually the stress is gone, you know. So
it's remarkable, isn't
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
In all of this, do you have any time for hobbies? Do you have any hobbies?
You know what, I have 6 sons, and so one of the great things for me is my boys love to golf. And so for me, in terms of spending time with them, many, many years ago I started golfing. And I always say to people, it's nothing better than golfing with 3 of your sons, because they're full of praise. Yo, good shot, Mom, try it again. So you come away feeling very good about yourself.
Are they proud of their mom?
I'm sure. And you know what, it was important to me to be a role model for them from a business. I wanted them to, you know, it was just, when I started working, it was just at the stage when lots of moms did work and have great careers, and lots of moms, it was more important to them to be a stay-at-home mom. And for whatever reason, for me, I wanted to be that sort of working mom, career, entrepreneur role model for my son. So I'm happy it worked out that way.
And now, the Good to Know Minute.
And Victoria, it's my Good to Know Minute, and I know you've got a great success tip.
Mine is don't feel guilty. Many moms feel guilty about things they're missing with their children or with their family, or things that they can't get to, and that weighs them down in terms of moving along and being productive. So I say, you know, make the decision of what you think you should be doing and move along, and don't feel guilty about it.
Don't feel guilty, and that's good to know. So Victoria, thank you so much for being on the show, and I wish you all the best with Kids and Company and all that you're doing.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
If you would like to be a guest on Extraordinary Women TV, visit our website at extraordinarywomentv.com. I'd love to hear from you. Follow me on Twitter at Shannon_Skinner or on Facebook at Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner. Join us next time for another episode of Extraordinary Women TV.